Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to yet another episode on the Great Human Reconnect. I'm your host, Hayden Binney, and today we're back in the beautiful city of Brisbane with another awesome special guest. Please introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Ryan. One Talk Podcast, Out the Box, Sound the Media, Sound Take, Converse Studios. I'm a father and a husband and a man of God.
A man of many things as well.
Yeah, jack of all trades.
I mean, how's life? How's the new year been?
Yeah, it's actually been really good. Just got back from Melbourne on Monday. I was down there watching my wife play softball, which was nice. Got to catch up with my sister because she lives in Adelaide. So
Nice.
when the family got like an Airbnb in the house and all caught up and spent some time with the kids. So it's always nice going away, having a little reset before coming back and getting into the grit. How about yourself, man?
Been busy just trying to plan and try and organise to try and, I guess, conquer the podcasting game, as I'm sure you're quite aware of.
Yeah, definitely. I've been seeing your stuff, man. It's good.
Yeah,
Good
trying
to see you growing a lot. You're telling me before. I'm not sure if I can say actually. You're about to maybe do some travel and stuff too with the podcast, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's awesome to see, man. Yeah, it's really good to see you commit to it, but also, grow and evolve with it too.
I appreciate it.
Mm.
You guys might not know this is actually our second time sitting down filming this. Had a few issues with the first one, but you know what? That was supposed to be. We're supposed to be back here today doing it again. Both I like to think I've evolved quite a bit since then. I think you'd probably done a lot of your evolving already to that point, so you're gonna be that same awesome person. But mate, sort of jumping in, take us back to sort of what was life as young Ryan like?
Life as young Ryan was chaotic, but also had moments of really good times and fun times. So, just for context, because people probably will listen to my voice and think I'm Irish, Scottish, Welsh, English, Aussie, they won't be able to know, but I'm from Liverpool in England. I moved to Australia when I was 8. And then when I moved to Australia, it was with the family, as mum, dad, brother and sister. But when you move to a country, like you leave all your family behind. So initially moving to Australia is really difficult. One, because of the heat, it was so hot. But the next was leaving the family behind, not really having that external support outside of your family, especially when you grow up with a family where we all kind of lived around the same street. Everyone was together all the time. Me and my cousins were close. So I think straight away I felt isolated. And then from there on out, I think I started to get into bad habits at a young age. Just because parents didn't have a great marriage, ended up getting divorced, bit of instability at home, which I guess I attracted to certain crowds to fit in and get an environment around me. So as a young fella, up until probably the age of 11 when I moved to Queensland, I was living in Adelaide and I wasn't doing too many bad things, because I was a bit young, but I was graffitiing this school. I was stealing bikes and scooters and just kind of doing rebellious things. Probably things you shouldn't be doing at that age, or probably any age, to be honest. And then at the age of 11, we moved to Queensland. Me, mum, and my brother, essentially, before we moved back to Queensland. So essentially, overall, me and mum moved to Queensland. And then at the age of 11, I got addicted to drugs. And then from 11 till 18 was my 7 years of drug abuse. At 18, I got clean. And then from 18 to 20 was, the toughest time of my life, trying to cope and overcome the back end of addiction. And then from 20 till now, I'm 28. It's just been a constant journey of evolving and growing. I'm sure there's a lot you want to go into with my story because you asked what was life like as me growing up, but that's basically a timeline overall.
Now, we've definitely got plenty to sort of dive into on that. I mean, for people listening, it was probably stopped them for a second hearing you were addicted to drugs at 11. How does that even happen?
Yeah, so I was at a mate's place and he goes, because I knew what cigarettes were, like cigarettes, but I didn't, because mum and dad smoked cigarettes, but I didn't know what weed was. But I was at a mate's place and it was like that transition from grade 7 going to grade 8, like those school holidays. And he goes to me, my uncle gave me some of this weed, do you want to try it? And it was rolled like a cigarette because it was a joint. So I was like, yeah, I'll try it. And then the first time I smoked, I didn't really feel anything, but it made me curious because I was getting told I was meant to feel something from smoking this. So the second time I tried it, I definitely got high. And then from there on out, you could say that's how my addiction began.
From 11, from starting with the weed, did it spiral into more?
Yeah, it did eventually because I think from 11 till 13 was just primarily just smoking weed. At 13, I started smoking synthetic weed. I've been trying to pinpoint the name of it. It was like a synthetic spice K2, some sort of like really dangerous drug,
Yeah.
really, but it can't. You could smoke it like weed. I started doing that when I was 13. And then at 14 ish, going into 15, started doing pills and like MDMA. And then at 15, I smoked ice and speed, did acid. So over the years, it kind of just evolved as I got older and got to know more people. And then I guess wanted to experiment with all these different types of drugs. But yeah, it definitely did evolve to a lot more than just weed. I would say my main addiction was marijuana throughout. All the other stuff was mainly just, in quotations, fun at the time, or
Mm.
experimenting, or if I could get my hands on it, I'll do the other stuff. But the main thing that I did, I guess you could say, morning to sleep was marijuana, but definitely dabbled with all the other stuff a lot as well.
As you were saying, you started with one, then you sort of kept going through trying more and more and more. What was the moment you realized it was no longer just ex- experimenting and it was actually an addiction?
After schoolies, so when I was
Absolutely.
17, yeah, when I was 17, that's when I realized and I had a reflection within and took some accountability. Because up until that point, I thought I was just having fun,
Yep.
living a good life, like, oh, I'm doing this with the boys and we're getting up to this and going to house parties and, you know, just doing doing all this crazy stuff. But yeah, it probably wasn't until schoolies when I really looked myself in the mirror. I was severely underweight. Didn't really sleep or eat the whole week at schoolies either. I was getting like really bad head twitches as well, where I couldn't stop my head from twitching. And I remember looking in the mirror like, wait, there's something really wrong here. So I'd say, to be honest, that was probably the first time that I even had that train of thought.
And there's so many people battling different addictions. Obviously, there's so much more than just drugs. Obviously, you got alcohol, porn,
Mm.
food. There's so much more. But like, so many people always mention it's like they realized it was wrong. They tried sort of stopping a few times. When was the moment that you actually had that fraction moment when it completely broke, when you realized it was no longer just stopping, starting, and it was done for good?
Yeah, good question, because with addiction, it is very much stop and start.
Mm.
It's pretty difficult because after schoolies, it would have been November. From November to February, I tried. I'd like wake up at 8 in the morning, like I'm quitting today. By 10 a.m., I'm high again. It was like that every day, or most days. And then in February, I remember I went to a house party and got like really drunk and high, and I woke up the next day. I was just like, it was like a flick of a switch. I just woke up that morning like I'm done, like this is it. And it was literally from that day on, I didn't touch weed ever since. Like I still haven't to this day from February 2015. Um, but it was that moment that I was like, all right, I know quitting weed's going to be hard and sticking with it because I've I've done it for so many years. So my stupid math, which I don't recommend that people quit an addiction, was if I quit weed, I'll use every other drug in the process, and then when I feel like I've got the grips of I no longer crave marijuana, then I'll quit everything else. But unfortunately, when I did quit marijuana, I ended up going harder into pills, harder into all this, harder into all the other stuff.
At the time, it made sense.
At the time, it made sense to me because I was like, the one thing that I rely on to go to sleep, like where I feel like I go crazy if I don't have it. I was like, if I can stop that, then I'll be able to stop everything else and change my life. And in some weird way, the madness worked because September that same year, on my 18th birthday, that was the last ever time I touched drugs. So ended up having a big weekend, didn't really sleep, ate a lot of pills. And then I think it was like the Monday, I was like, all right, I'm done. Like, this is it. And then, because I remember sitting there, I'm like, all right, I've quit weed. And I remember I made like a pact with myself. Like, when I got to a point where I feel like I could then use that resilience into this and put resilience into that, I was like, all right, now probably the time to make a decision. It's interesting when I do look back on it because usually when most people turn 18, that's when their poly life kind of increases and when they start getting into that type of lifestyle. But for me, that was like a moment. It's like, all right, this is time for you to stop. Like, you're an adult now. You got responsibilities. You gotta start figuring out life. You can't be a high school dropout drug addict for the rest of your life. You gotta figure out something.
Yeah.
So for me, it's more of a motivator to turn 18 and become an adult because it gave me, a great level of responsibility.
So would you say that there wasn't, say, like a big drastic moment that happened. It wasn't like a near-death experience. It was just waking up and realizing you wanted better. What actually like differentiated that, like the final time versus every other time? Because it's a little bit different to drugs and stuff. But like my biggest problem I've had for a long time. I've got plenty of problems, but the one I've tried to like deal with the most is sort of like the self-sabotage and like the self-lying.
Yeah.
For a long time, it's like I constantly lie to myself, tell myself that, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to change my life, I'm going to start this new business, stuff like that. And it was this constant cycle where it's like everyone else in my life was like, when I would come to them, tell them these things, they're like, okay, radio, roll their eyes, like, this here's just another thing. And there was plenty of times in my life when I couldn't change. Like a time I nearly died in a car accident. I remember laying there on the side of the road thinking like, okay, this here is going to be the moment that the light bulb switches, and once I like get out of this, I knew I was going to be okay at that point. I'm like, I'm not going to take life for granted anymore. Spoiler, continued taking life for granted, didn't change anything at all, probably got worse in everything I was doing, lied to myself even more. But then it took a random day, can't even remember what day, can't remember what I was doing, but for something just to randomly out of the blue click and realize that I'm actually like, what I'm saying isn't a lie anymore. And it's like I've been doing that for probably the longest time now in my life, where it's like people are starting to realize, oh, maybe you weren't just saying this other thing. It's like I'm trying to constantly just battle like what differentiates the fracture moment, like what makes people actually change.
Yeah. No, it's good insight, man, because you kind of reminded me of the point of my story as well, where I was lying to myself when I quit weed, and so I've used every other drug, because I guess that was my way of still enabling my addiction in a way as well, not actually confronting it to begin with, and just probably needing to find a deeper rock bottom to hit, even though at that point I was at a rock bottom. But yeah, I think because when I started going heavy on, it was mainly like pills was the thing that I went really hard on when I quit weed. Sorry, I remember I had so many moments of like where I felt like I was going to overdose, but didn't. I guess you could say medically overdose, but tens and tens of times I felt like I was on the verge of it.
Yeah.
But I just kept going and going to deeper depths and kind of just enforcing pain on myself for some weird reason, and enforcing like deeper highs, and to the point where I would feel like I'm going to overdose. And I think for me, I just started to realize it's like, all right, living this lifestyle, you're either going to OD, go to jail, achieve nothing in life. And when I started reflecting on, I guess, some of the options that path was leading me to, none of those options seemed appealing to me. And it's like, do I want to be 40 and, still chewing pills and snorting and doing all this stuff, living this lifestyle? I'm like, no, that's not the long-term future for me. But I do relate with you there when you said, you find ways to lie to yourself through addiction. And it's true, because I find out as men, like, some of us have to hit like the depths of rock bottom to really have that moment in the mirror where we look at ourselves. And I've had to have that opportunity. I had the opportunity a lot of times, but somehow I always found a deeper rock bottom. But yeah, I really do resonate with that, man. And I guess for me, it probably was those multiple times of coming close to ODing, and then that's when I was like, all right, maybe it's time to make a proper decision.
I like when you said it's sort of like that self-sabotage. I'm a big believer. A lot of us, we sabotage ourselves because we secretly like want it to be harder. It's like the underdog story.
Yeah.
We want to like feel like we've really, really come from like the depths of despair and really climbed out of a bad hole. And like I could be completely wrong with this train of thought, but the more I've been trying to analyze it, and I'm no expert, I'm still trying to figure out everything myself. I'm like, in a way, do we keep going into these addictions because we're sort of scared of what will actually happen if we actually commit to what we say we're going to do and change our lives, and we're scared of the reality of it not working, not actually working out, and we know, okay, if we don't try, if we just stay in this same reality, we don't have to feel like the embarrassment of being that failure.
Yeah, 100% well said, because I find a lot of us are scared of growth too. One thing I realised within myself is that I started to self-sabotage when I was close to pushing through and succeeding in something, or when I was getting close to a really positive result in life. When I was on the edge of that, I was self-sabotage, and that's something I have to constantly look at over myself till this day, like if I have moments of self-sabotage or where you kind of get caught in your own head, and it's like, wait, no, it's because I'm about to have a breakthrough moment. And that's something I always remind myself of if I ever have those moments of those thoughts coming in, it's like, no, the reason this is coming up for you is because something good is about to happen. And I find that's usually, I guess, the result for a lot of people that I've spoken with on my podcast or just in life is that when they are about to achieve or get something good in life, like subconsciously, to try and self-sabotage it to remain where they are, to stay comfortable, or maybe they don't believe that they are worthy of it, or they don't believe that they should be able to attain something like that. Maybe it's like a limiting belief that holds them back, but I find it's quite a common theme.
Yeah, the negative voices get louder. The thing that is coming to my mind right now, it's when I got baptized, I remembered we went to a room afterwards, and he sat there, spoke to us, and is like, you need to know, now that you've been baptized, it is about to get 10 times harder. The enemy and the bad thoughts are going to come in 10 times stronger than they ever have. And I was sort of sitting there like, no, like, it's not going to happen. Yeah, it freaking did happen. Like,
100%.
like, that's like an example I always use every time I try and push closer into, like, my faith and stuff, the more I sort of relapse on myself, the more the things I'm trying to steer away from come back stronger, amplified. And it's like the more I try and push into work and business, the more I feel overwhelmed and sort of anxious of like, it's not going to work out. Like, I still have it coming to every single podcast. I'm super fired up, super ready for it. It's like, without a doubt, 5 minutes before I'm at any single one, this just overwhelming sense of just anxiety comes over me, and it's like, what are you doing? You're not even doing it. You don't have a style. And it's just trying to learn to shove those negative thoughts back down and just keep pushing forward.
What makes you still do it though? Like, if you're having those thoughts, feeling that anxiety, it's fight or flight essentially. What keeps you?
I guess it's like, I don't want to keep lying to myself. It's like, I've committed to it. Like, there's this really backwards analogy I use, and I never remember it fully, but it's like, if someone's to walk in on you jerking off and you stop, you're the one that's embarrassed.
Yeah.
But if you keep jerking off long enough, that other person's going to feel uncomfortable, and they're going to sort of feel like they're in the wrong. Like, that's what someone said to me when I was sort of...
analogy.
Like, well, that's what they said when I was sort of like telling them, like, hey, I want to get into like content, posting the podcast. Because I'm someone that I would maybe post one post every 2 or 3 years, to now I'm sort of putting up 2 to 3 different posts a day on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's like a bit of a shock, and it's like at first you're the guy jerking off, they've walked in. If you keep doing it long enough, they're gonna feel uncomfortable forever doubting you. If you do it and stop, then yes, you are the one that's embarrassed.
Yeah, like if you shy away from it.
It's like, if I do it long enough, they're going to realize that they are sort of like, they were weird and they were wrong for even doubting me.
Yeah.
I guess it's just that consistency of like pushing through and just keeping my word, because I want to change. I want things in life that I don't currently have, and it's like, the direction I was going, I was never going to get there. I was just going down. It's like they say in the Matrix. It's like, you don't want to go down that path. You know where it leads. I want to go down the path of the unknown, the scary, which does scare me in a bit. And it's like, because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't have all the answers. But it's like, I have to at least try to go down that path in order to get something I've never had before.
Yeah, 100%. And you'd rather reflect back on life knowing that you stepped into those paths, rather than reflect back on those times in your life knowing that you didn't. That you're too scared to do, and you lived, I guess, a life that just loops the same day every day for the rest 100%. Of your life. Instead, actually chase after the things that you want. And I found that too when I started doing social media, because One Talk, the Instagram page, it used to be called Mental Health Experience.
Yep.
Like way back when I first started. I started that in June 2018, and the reason I started that was to, I guess, it was like on the back end of my mental health struggles, post-addiction, and I wanted to give back to people in terms of just putting quotes out there, letting people know it's okay to struggle and all these things, just to help people that I know in my community or friend circles. But when I was planning to start that page, it took me months to even create the account, because I was so scared into what people are going to say or judge me, or because I don't think many people would have known me as the guy to, I guess, struggle with, depression and anxiety and things like that back then. I was probably a bit more like life of the party type person. So when I first started opening up about it, like, I was bricking it. Like, I did not want to do it. But I did it anyway. My mate Bill, who you saw just walking before, he was a big advocate of like, you just gotta do it, man. Like,
Yeah.
trust me. So I was like, all right, you know what, I'm gonna do it. So I posted, and then the more I posted, the more positive feedback I got from people. Like, no, you're actually doing a good thing. And I'm like, wait, why am I fearful of something that's actually making a positive impact on other people, which is then gonna be like a bounce back effect to bring a positive impact on me. Like, why am I scared to step into these things in life? And that was like a big open door for me to like, all right, what's other things in my life that I can create a positive impact in that I'm shying away from. And then I guess that's where the podcast came from. A couple of different business adventures and events and things like that. All of them were scary, but I just thought, at least I try. I'd rather finish my life knowing I was a trier, and especially now that I'm a father, I look at my son and I think, what type of example do I want to be to my children? When my son sees me now, do I want him to look at his dad, and his dad is the guy who doesn't try, who does the easy thing, who is lazy, who doesn't believe in himself, who doesn't try and inspire his family? Or do I want my son to look at his dad and goes, no, that's the man. Like, he's a version of a person who chases his dreams, goes after, he's strong, he backs himself every single time, because essentially my children are going to look at me for a model for themselves to be, and that's probably been my biggest motivator the last 13 months my son's been alive, is that I can't take my foot off the pedal now. Like, beforehand I could a little bit, like, because I didn't have another life watching me every day.
100%.
Like, I'm always been like a motivated person and things like that, but I was very easily able to take my foot off the gas, like, without a problem, and then get back on the gas. But now it's like, you can't, like, fill that bitch up and keep going.
100%. I like what you said before about fear, and it reminds me of, like, this quote I've actually got written on my whiteboard by Alex Hormozy. It's, fear is a mile wide and an inch deep. It often looks so scary, but once you take that leap, you realise that it ain't that deep.
Yeah,
like,
true.
You can tell there, obviously, the passion in your voice talking about your child. I mean, what inspires you to be the best dad? Like, why is that important to you?
It's important to me because, like, my idea of being a parent and being a father is that I made the decision with my wife, me and my wife, but I'll talk about me personally, but on my behalf, I made the decision to bring a life into this world. So it's my responsibility to make sure that life has great role models, great examples, has a loving family home. And I take that responsibility, like, to the absolute max. Like, there's not a day that goes by where, I guess, do the easy thing, you know what I mean? Like, as a father, or, like, I'll always show my son the good side of myself, and at the moment, it's like, I can't really have conversations with him because he only just turned 1.
Yeah.
So it's just more of, like, what he sees. So at the moment, when I get home, I make sure the version of me that he sees is one that he feels safe around, feels loved around, feels inspired to be himself around. But it all comes down to just taking on the responsibility of being a parent. Like, it was my decision to bring him into this world, and for the rest of his life, or for the rest of my life, I owe him completely 100% every single day.
Does any of, like, these, of, like, what you want to do so well come from, like, an experience of things that you didn't quite get when you were his age?
Definitely, because my father left when I was 11. So I was in Queensland, he moved to Adelaide, and he was back and forth from England to Adelaide, and then, like, 12 years ago, he moved to England, and then I haven't spoken to him now in, like, 3 years either. So I guess a part of my aspiration of that is probably my own experience with lack of a role model in the father, or lack of someone being present. So that's definitely a big motivator for me, because I've seen how I lived my life because of that. Like, so my dad left when I was 11, and it's kind of coincidentally became a drug addict at 11, and then began all those other vices and trials and tribulations that followed. I'm not saying that's completely because of my dad, but I do believe it's a contributing factor, that's for sure.
A young man needs a strong male figure in his life.
Yeah, 100%. And there's even, like, multiple things in my life, like, even with health and fitness, I always, like, I've been going to the gym probably consistently 80% of the time for the last 12 years. And at one point, like, I was like big and muscular. I was probably like over 100 kilos, benching 170, but I didn't look good, and I never felt good. there was more like egotistical,
Yeah,
driven, and
100%.
things like that. But once I had my kid, I'm like, instead of like the image of being physically fit, like I actually want to have longevity fit and
Yeah,
endurance and
100%.
health, and that completely flipped my perspective on gym and training and what it's for and the purpose of it and everything else. So, like it just flipped so many different things in my life. And probably because my own father wasn't, like a physically, he wasn't going to gym or
Yeah.
doing anything physical as well. So for me, that's an important value for me to, I guess, learn the good and the bad, and then come to a decision on what I think is the right thing. And I'm aware enough to know that every decision I make is probably not going to be the best, but I'm at least just going to try.
You obviously mentioned before with the podcast what it used to be called and stuff, obviously wanting to sort of talk to people and share sort of obviously your insight of having the mental health issues. I mean, a lot of people don't always talk about the dangers of becoming sober.
Mm-hmm.
Can you run us through your experience of that?
It's the scariest time of my life, to be honest. My mate, who you saw before, Bill, and my other mate, Ben, I mean, they would come to my house for like 2 weeks and I wouldn't leave my room. Like, I was just like bad withdrawal symptoms, just sitting in the dark for 2 weeks, barely eating, just sleeping the whole time, really. And just, if I'm not sleeping, just going through it and sweating and just, yeah, in a really bad way. But because I was addicted for drugs for so long, every time I felt an emotion or a feeling, I was always able to numb it. Like, oh, I feel when I'm angry, all right, just smoke some weed. You feel down, all right, well, have a pill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's always something to go to. Quitting drugs is like, I feel angry. Now what? I'm just in a room fuming. Like, I've got nothing to calm me down, or I feel depressed. It's like, oh, I've got nothing to lift me up, and it's like trying to figure out how to navigate your emotions, to understand them, learning coping mechanisms, learning habits and patterns and different things that you can do to really support yourself. And it took me about 2 years to even figure that out, to the point where my mate Bill would come to my house and I'd be sitting in my room just shaking physically from anxiety, just because I didn't want to go out there and say hello to him. Couldn't get out of the room. And then he just kept coming over and eventually got me out of the room and got me on the balcony to smoke a cigarette. That's when I used to smoke cigarettes. And then from there, I was like, all right, now I've got to start figuring out ways to, I guess, manage and deal with my emotions. And then from there on was just a self-discovery journey of understanding myself. So yeah, I was at the point where I just had to start figuring out ways to manage my emotions and to manage my state of mind. And to be honest, I didn't know where to start, because I was like feeling depression, but I didn't know what depression was. I don't know if they taught it in school, but if they did, like, I wasn't there anyway, so it's not like I knew much. And this is before like social media and all that. Like, we had Nokia E63 phones, so it's not like I could even really find out what. I sound old now, but it's not like I could really find out what depression was. So it was more so of just like living every day thinking this is normal. So I got to a point where I was like, all right, what's one thing I've never done that I can say that I've at least achieved, so I can have some sense of pride, because at that point I was really low. I was no job, living on Seno, and just getting by day, and I was like, I need to do something that I can be proud of. So signed up to TAFE, and I was like, all right, I got kicked out of school. Every teacher told me I'd never finish school. I was like, well, let's at least prove them wrong. So I signed up to TAFE, did a year 12 course, and within that year 12 course, one of my classes was psychology. And I picked that on purpose because I was like, I'm struggling, I might as well try and learn about the mind. And through there, I was able to understand depression, anxiety, which started to, I guess, normalize and give me a deeper understanding of what I'm feeling, that you can actually change it. And this is not like how not being sober is every single day, because that's what I thought. I thought, oh, this is just how life is for everyone.
Yeah.
After going into that class, I started to realize, like, oh, no, wait, there's actually more ways to life, and from there on, I started going to the gym, which eventually evolved to breath work and meditation, all different modalities. But I think that's where it all began for me.
What was the biggest takeaway you took from learning psychology?
That we are not our emotions or thoughts. We don't have to be, especially our thoughts. I always thought that, like, every thought that came in my head is 100% true as the gospel. And I started to realize, like, no, we have over 10,000 thoughts a day. Like, I'm not every single one of those, It's just the ones that I pick and choose, that I stamp beliefs on, which then create my identity. Like they're the ones that I always held a high value. When I started to realize, like, no, the unhelpful thoughts and negative thoughts, you can actually not have an emotional reaction to them. You can learn a way to stand out and step away from them. And the way I did that, I read a book by Eckhart Tolle called The Power of Now, and he talks about a practice of meditation, but it's where you close down your eyes and you picture yourself sitting on a chair like this, and all
Yep.
your thoughts, like on a movie screen,
Yep.
and you watch your thoughts go by. But you don't tell the thoughts to stop or go. You don't dictate them. You don't tell them what to do. You just get comfortable with the thoughts that come up and just watch them and observe. And the more I practiced that, the more I started to realize that I'm having less of an emotional reaction to my thoughts. And then the less emotional reaction I'd have, the less I'll be up and down, like in terms of an emotional roller coaster. So for me, practicing that every single day really helped me with, I guess, emotional regulation. Just being able to understand that I'm not my thoughts.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, I really like that sort of that closing your eyes, picturing that movie screen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I have a very like similar in a way sort of thing relating to like the movie and stuff. It's like if I'm sort of going through like tough thoughts and stuff, or like trying to decide what to do, like where I need to shift my energy, it's like because we're so like tunnel focused on our problems because we're us, it's
Yeah.
hard for us to expand. It's like sit there and just think, if there was a movie crew had been filming the last 6 months of your life, like what would the audience be screaming
Yeah.
at the TV? Be like, it's so obvious, you've got to do this.
Yeah.
The killer's in the cupboard, whatever it might be. Like it's so ridiculously obvious. It's just sort of taking yourself away from that and like disattaching from the emotions.
Yeah, it's like our thoughts cock blockers sometimes. You know what I mean? Like they really do get in the way.
100%. I mean,
Yeah.
one thing you've mentioned a few times before online is being comfortable in chaotic environments.
Oh yeah, yeah. So for me, like I don't know if it's a positive thing, because I find to be able, in order to get to peace, you have to master chaos. To even get to peace first.
Yep.
And still to this day, it's something that I do fall back into, like when chaos happens, or I create my own chaos because it's a place where I'm comfortable. And I think that's just because of the life that I had up until I was about 20, in drug addiction, family breakdown, constantly moving, probably living in maybe 20 different houses by the age of 16, just constantly like never being settled in life. And I found myself then when like if chaos stopped in my life, like I'd have to find a way to create it because I was like I wasn't used to life just being peaceful. So for myself, I had to find a way to master chaos to then start enjoying the peace of life and the fruits of life and everything else that it offers. But for me, it's something that I battle with to this day. Like, if sometimes I can get in my own head and think, no, you're by yourself, no one cares, it's just you. Now I'm like, no, like stop trying to create chaos for yourself in your own life. Like, and negotiate with myself and then meditating on it and then bringing myself back. It's something that I constantly have to do. But yeah, I find in order to get to peace, it's just constantly mastering that chaos.
I mean, a life with just peace and no chaos would be lovely.
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, it might be a little bit boring. We sort of need that
100%.
chaos as well to sort of keep us on our feet.
Yeah.
And it's like that unknown in a way.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I heard something the other day. It was, if you knew exactly, like, where you were going to go, like, going to end up, you'd probably become a little bit discontent because, like, you know it's just going to go. But if you don't know, like, how it's going to happen, where you're going to end up, the chaos of that leads you to doing sometimes more action and doing more work, which might get you there quicker than like what you thought was possible.
Yeah, great point, because it is true. Like, you don't want to completely annihilate chaos. Like, it's more about like redirecting it. Like you said, like redirecting it into points in your life where it's actually going to serve a purpose. Not creating chaos just for the sake of it,
100%.
but instead it's like where can I drive this to that's going to grow results in my life. It's like even now with anger, like if I feel angry, instead of like lashing out or punching the wall or strangling the pillow, it says like, all right, can I use this anger to go to the gym or go for a run or maybe smash out some emails, or you know what I mean, like how can I redirect this energy into something positive? And it's the same with chaos. It's like if I am wanting to go into that area of my life, it's like, all right, where can I find a space for it to, I guess, plant seeds of fruit.
Mm. And like the thing that sort of is battling me, it's like going into where I'm going into because it's still so new and fresh to me. It's like I've got to welcome more chaos because unfortunately I don't know the journey. I don't know where it's going to be. So I've got to sort of get comfortable in the chaos to then hopefully come through the other side and find the beauty in it.
How are you managing that?
I don't know yet.
Yeah,
I
still
don't
figuring it
know.
out.
I'm still a lot of anxiety, still a lot of like being honest, like the last sort of like 3 days was sort of been quite tough. I'd been so good just like sticking in, focusing on like work, locking in, like go back 7 or 8 weeks ago, didn't know how to use Adobe, didn't know how to do anything. Now it's like podcasting, making reels. I used to be on the Opus train. Now I've got off and I'm doing all of the reels myself, all going through, clipping them, snipping them up. So I'm doing like so much more than I've ever done. But the last sort of couple of days, I've sort of just found myself shifting back into the old habits of just sitting on the couch, binge watching Netflix, door dashing, shit food after shit food, feeling just crappy about myself. And it was like, it was like I was playing my own little violin.
Yeah.
I was sitting there playing my own little violin, like, oh, this is so tough, this is so thing. Not, like, knowing I could just snap myself, go sit in the office and work for, like, 4 hours straight, but just not having the ability to. And I saw someone post, it was like, he was struggling, he needed to break through, and it was like, he did something extreme. And I'm like, okay, what can I do, like, now that's, like, extreme enough to make a change? I was like, this morning and stuff, and I had to go down to the Gold Coast, had to be there for 7:30, and I was like, okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to leave my house at just after midnight, drive to the Gold Coast, go there, on my way down there, throw my violin that I was playing myself out the window, run it over, squash it, go there, do like a 2-hour walk, just be in my head, be in the solitude and just think. And it did an awesome job. I thought I was good, but on the way to doing the first episode I did today, I experienced probably like the worst anxiety rush that I've experienced in such a long time, and I was like, damn, I'd still thrown the violin. I wasn't playing like, I wasn't feeling bad for myself. But I was trying to sit there and like understand and like be like, why am I feeling this way? Being like, I don't have to feel this way, but not having any control over changing the feeling. And it was really, I'm not someone who really talks about emotions and sort of open with that because, like, it's not something I grew up seeing. Like, my parents never really expressed their emotions and stuff like that. So it's just like, you just sort of deal with it. And now it's like me trying to find like who I am. It's like trying to come comfortable with being like, I'm not always okay. Because like, I would be that person if someone's like to me, oh, I'm feeling like a bit anxious, feeling a bit depressed. I'd sit there and be like, that's all bullshit. Like, come on, mate. Like, get over it, sort of thing. And it's like trying to like just rewire the brain.
Yeah, you worded that well, man. Because that's something that I sometimes find myself in. Is like knowing that you need to do something, but it feels like you don't have control or the ability to go and do it. And you kind of just feel like you're just stuck in your body.
And you hyper focus and hyper analyze on what can go wrong, and even though you try and switch it and do it on the positive, you just can't. Like you think of it, but it just doesn't have that same shift and same thing. Like you're sitting there like, get out of my head, like these bad thoughts, like stop it. Like, you need to go.
Yeah, the thing that helped me the most with that was being able to create like a calendar or a schedule of like what my set hours are for work or doing things. So when I did want to watch Netflix, like my one episode of Peaky Blinders a day, I can actually sit down and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because I found like before I was full time doing this, like I was doing one talk on the side out the box and the sound take, building Converse studios, and then working a full time job as well. Like doing all those 5 at once was just like morning to sleep. I'm with a child as well, like morning to sleep is like you're never turning off like every day. And I found myself sometimes like in that state of like I need to get up and do something, but I can't. I think my nervous system probably was an override too, but now I'm here full time doing this now. I used to still find myself getting into that habit as well. But I found the thing that helped me the most is like these set hours is for this only.
Yeah.
Anything after that, it's completely up to you. Like, don't stress about it. And for me, doing that consistently really helped rather than, because I used to be like 11 o'clock and I'm like, oh, I've got to get my laptop and go do this. And I think I was starting to punish myself when I wasn't doing that
Yeah.
unfairly. So then being able to just, I guess, set hours really helped.
My problem, and I know it's my problem, but I don't know why I can't change. It's like when I want to make the change, I can't just make a small change. For me, it's drastic or nothing.
I'm the same.
So it's like, if I want to go on a diet, go to the gym, it's not just, slightly eat less, just start going to the gym. No, it's like, I'll cut my calories back to 1,800, do 2-a-day training sessions, and it's like, I struggle. I wish I could just do that. That's why I think that's very part of the reason why things didn't last that long for me, because it's like,
Yeah.
if I do it, it is all in. Like when I've done businesses in the past, it's like I go all in ridiculously and just sort of overdo it, burn myself out, because I'm like, well, no, burnout. Like burnout doesn't exist. I keep going, work
Yeah.
harder, which obviously you do have to work out and you do have to deal with burnout and stuff. But like the tools I was using to measure success and the tools I was like using to like actually do the work were probably the wrong tools.
Yeah, 100% I relate with that because it's literally something that I had to deal with yesterday. Because like I'm not long recovering from surgery, so I've slowly been getting back into the gym, and by the end of this month I can actually start doing everything else that I was doing beforehand. So I signed up to my mate Michael Austin. He's a PT and he offered me a coaching program. And I was like, all right, I need to do a calorie deficit. I did the exact same thing, 1,800 calories. I need to train every single day, no days off. I was like in my head, no, just at least bump it up to 2,000 this time. Like, you don't have to go all the way to 1,800. Even I remember one time I did 1,600 calories a day.
Yeah.
Lost a lot of weight, but I had no energy and I didn't
Yeah.
feel good. And like physically, yeah, it worked, but everything else was just no. So this time I was like, all right, how can I do the whole package where everything, succeeds out of it, where I'd have to sacrifice one thing to be able to get the other. So that's the journey I'm on now, and it's constantly a battle that I'm facing because I find myself like, if I make a decision to do something, it's rather 100% or there's no point doing it. And it's like, you don't have to do that with every aspect of your life. Like, it doesn't have to be so extreme. And yeah, that was literally me yesterday with my nutrition plan. I was like, no, just do 2,000 at least.
Yeah.
Don't strip yourself too much this time.
Still at that 2000s, they're probably like, do a little bit more, and you're like, 2000's the lowest I'm going.
Yeah, I'm like 2,000. I'm like, all right, that's 800 for dinner. I can do 600 for for lunch, and then it's like, trying to find ways. But even for me, man, like sometimes like I'll do a week fast. I'm like, you don't need to fast for a week, just relax, but just get ahead of yourself sometimes.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously going back a little bit, I'm gonna try and like turn, obviously, like addiction isn't always like a negative thing. I want to try and give it a positive spin. I mean, what's something through that tough part of your life that's actually like given you a skill or equipped you with something that benefits you now, and I guess in a way can differentiate yourself from others?
Resilience, grit, determination, willpower, self-belief. It's all those things I needed to quit.
Yeah.
Let me take one that from like my addiction days. I'm not saying people have to get addicted to get this, but the one thing that as an addict that you do is, if your dealer has nothing for you to get on, trust me, you find a way.
Yeah.
Like whether it's 4 hours away, whether it's your cousin's sister, ex-dog owner's uncle who knows a guy who lives an hour away, like you find a way always to get on. And it's like, right, in business, I'm the same now with sales. Like, there's always a way to find a sale. There's always a way to find a client or to get someone on board. Like, there's always a way. And I guess from my addiction days, I just know that, like, one no is not enough for me. It's like, I'm gonna go until I find it. You know what I mean? Like, like a dog with a bone. Like, I'll find that bone. So, I guess with that's a positive. On the back end of addiction and becoming clean, I say, like I said, like determination, grit, resilience,
Yeah.
all those things kind of like my armor today.
It's like if you can overcome that, you can overcome anything.
Exactly, and every tough time that I have in my life, I just reflect like back on those days. I'm like, I did that kind of somewhat by myself and winged it.
Yeah.
Because I can definitely overcome anything now when I have structures in place.
I was speaking to a few people. It's a bit odd if I'm really analysing it. It's like a lot of the people I've spoken with and stuff that have become successful, they've all got something in common. They were all addicted to drugs at one point, and they've all
Really?
overcome that. Like I'm
Yeah.
sitting here thinking about it. 'Cause it's like I've asked a lot of people the same question. I'm like, what is one thing like while you're actually like in the process of being an addict? What's something that makes sense to you but does not make sense to anyone else? Like, what is something that you convince yourself that is so true?
I guess I think it comes back to what I mentioned before, to be honest, just like not being able to take no for an answer. Like, just as an addict, you can't, or you feel like you can't because you've got to find a way to get on to feed your addiction. Because if you don't, it's the end of the world. So for me, it was like taking no for an answer. Like, even now, if someone says no to me, it's not like I don't become a pest, but I try and find a way to, I guess, reposition it or reframe it. If that doesn't work, move on to the next. Just not take a no for an answer, I guess, and just like the level of energy that you have to be able to just do anything to get the result that you need.
If there's someone out there listening to this and they've got a friend, brother, sister, parent who is currently fighting the battle and they're currently losing that battle with addiction, what would you say to them that they can do to try and, one, understand and help them?
There's probably two different ways to answer this. One would be if the person who's addicted in general, if they have the desire to get clean or to quit, it makes the journey a lot easier, because then from there on it's just linking them in with like an addiction counselor or taking them to like an AA meeting or getting to some sort of rehab. Like, the path's so much easier because they're willing to make a change. If it's for someone who's got a brother, sister, uncle, boyfriend, girlfriend, or whoever it is that's addicted, but they believe truly that they don't have a problem, it's in some sort of way, you kind of just got to accept that they've made the decision to live their life that way. Because I found a lot of people with addiction, the decision has to come from them. Probably the most visual example as of late would be Charlie Sheen's latest documentary. Everyone put him into rehab multiple times, but the only time he quit was when he looked in the mirror one day and was like, wait, I've actually got a problem, and it came from him. But then it's like, the question most people will have on the back end of that is, all right, yeah, cool, but I still don't want to see the people I love, struggle and keep, killing themselves, essentially. I guess the next part of it would be, like, how do you minimize the risk of their addiction, on whatever it is. Minimize the harm, minimize the addiction, provide resources to them as well. Probably don't be too pushy on them, because you will push them away, but inform them that you're there for them, that you're not judging, and don't, I guess, provide the resources, let them know that you're there for them, help them minimize the risk, have that conversation with them. It's like, all right, if you're going to do it and you're not going to budge and you're not going to quit, it's like, how can we do it in a way where we're all comfortable with you doing it? I know that sounds like probably like a bad thing to say, or a bad thing to hear in a way, because the person's still continuing the addiction, but at the end of the day, if the person's not ready to quit, it's pretty hard to make them stop, unless you tie them down, which I don't know is illegal in Australia.
No, I'm a big believer. People will only change when they're ready to change.
100%. So I do believe it's all about just helping them minimize the risk.
I want to sort of shift away from all of that for a little bit, because obviously you're so much more than obviously the past and stuff like that. There's so much more looking forward into the future. I mean, you did mention earlier the podcast used to be, what was it called?
So the podcast has always been One Talk, but
Yep.
before I started the podcast, I had an Instagram
Instagram
page,
page.
which is One Talk now, but the Instagram page used to be called Mental Health
What
Experience.
was like, why did you change the page from that to then One Talk and obviously start the podcast?
So I started the podcast with One Talk. So Bill, who you saw before, he's from PNG.
Yep.
And One Talk is actually in PNG, WONTOK, One Talk.
Yep.
But I believe that means, I wish he was here for validation, but I believe that means like, because in PNG there's so many languages. So I think One Talk is like a greeting that they use with each other, and for them all to speak the same language essentially. So we translated to the English version, which is One Talk.
Yeah.
And then Bill was the co-host with it for the first 4 episodes. Then after 4 episodes, I took it solo, and then it's been me since. And then I think about maybe episode 50, around episode 50, I still had Instagram pages, mental health experience, but I was having a real challenge on getting a lot of people I wanted to get on the podcast, because like a page called Mental Health Experience was reaching out to them to get on the podcast, and I think a lot of them thought it's going to be like a counselling session live on the podcast.
Yeah.
So I decided just to make my whole brand One Talk.
Yeah.
Events, podcasting, social media, and it made life so much more simple. And it's easy, to be honest, a lot more simple now because it's all just under one umbrella. But the main reason I did switch the name was because, I feel like I was kind of pigeonholing myself just to mental health with that name, and One Talk gave me a good variety.
Yeah. Like, what is the message and like the purpose behind the podcast?
It's evolved so much over the years. To begin with, it was, let's just say, till this day, I still have the intention to derive value from each episode that people can implement into their own life for the better good. And with that, I'm able to interview a broad range of guests, from like neuroscientists to professional athletes to business owners to you name it, kind of just anyone and everyone, because everyone has a story. Everyone had to get to where they're at. Someone had to overcome something. Someone's currently struggling with something that can help someone. Even if it's a business owner, like the amount of stress and I guess burnout you face, and the amount of value that can provide to someone else is extraordinary. Or if it's a neuroscientist, they got a lot of scientific stuff. Like, so for me now, the intention is just to have great conversations, but also leave people at the end of every episode that listen to it to be able to walk away and implement something from the episode to improve their own life, or share a bit of wisdom to someone else to improve theirs.
Was there, podcast or not, like, is there an inspiration or someone you look up to?
I look up to Jesus, definitely. My biggest strength. But I'll probably keep it in terms of like in the physical world today.
I'm more than happy if you want to go wherever you need to go.
Yeah, I think it would be Jesus. I think it's different parts of my life, like going through drug addiction, getting clean, and turning my life around. The biggest one for me was like an Australian artist named Cursor, which I guess a lot of the Australian audience will know. Like, he was massive for me in terms of overcoming drug addiction, getting clean, I guess turning my life around, making something for myself, and just believing in myself. Like, to be honest, his music probably not just saved my life, but also gave me a better life. Just the amount I was able to get from his lyrics and the things that he talks about and the inspiration. But I guess now it's definitely, it's just Jesus.
Is there a certain sort of scripture or like Bible story that sort of always sort of comes to mind?
Yeah, there is a few. I think it's probably one because I got my son, like I got him like a bedtime Bible book, so it's got like pictures in it. And to be honest, I kind of prefer it because like you can see stories. It's pretty cool. But I was reading him the story of David and Goliath the other night, and where David was anointed king, and then Goliath's this giant that he has to go and deal with. And I see that as more than just like a physical battle. You know what I mean? Like, I see that David and Goliath story as like, let's say I'm David and Goliath is fear, it's anxiety, it's depression, it's the unknown, it's the uncertainty. But having the will of David and the heart of David to still go and fight Goliath.
I've got the story of Lazarus has been on my mind.
Oh, yeah, nice.
It, like I said, like most of my content I consume on anything is probably like Instagram Reels, like stuff like that, TikTok. Yeah. I try not, but sometimes that's sort of like my guilty little pleasure.
Yeah.
And like the story, like I've got this video that I often just play to myself. It's just man sort of like confessing it's like he was like Lazarus in the tomb, dead and stuff. And like, it just really hits home. It's like I, for such a long time, I was dead, I was lost, I was not worthy, and it was Jesus then came to the door and said, roll away the stone, Lazarus, come forth, like, come to me. And it's just that sort of story that sort of gives me hope.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's hard to explain.
No, I understand that, man, because I read stories in the Bible as well. Like, even just that David and Goliath one, like, every time, like, I read it, and I probably read it multiple times, but every single time, like, it inspires me. Every single time, like, just knowing that story and, like, how you can translate, like, these stories in today's world and how we can deprive I guess, the wisdom from the Bible and the teachings, but also how that can inspire us to make action today. And the thing I love about the Bible is there's just countless and endless stories like that.
I mean, like, I could sit here and like list a bunch of people that like in the physical world that inspire me to do stuff, but like I can never explain. There was probably two people that really made a big impact. You might know them. Do you know Philip Anthony Mitchell?
Probably if I saw his face.
So he's a pastor in in America. He brought me back to religion. He brought me back to Christ. It was the problem I found going to a lot of churches. It was the style just didn't really sit quite right, and he was like in a lot of things in my life. I guess I like things either like super extreme or not at all, and he is a lot more like. He will sit there and be like, I pray you into the hands of the devil. I would rather you feel like the most pain now so that then once you get to the end, you can like be in heaven forever. It was super just extreme. And then I don't know why this like left my mouth to a friend. It was like, I said this to a friend, I don't know why. I'm like, Philip Anthony Mitchell brought me back. And then this other pastor, Keenan Clark, I'm like, I don't know why I said he saved my life. And it was just...
I have to check them out.
Yeah, like listening to their stories, it's like saying them out loud, they probably don't like mean as much because they don't have all the cool music, background music and stuff like that, but it's like just listening to them, it just makes me think. Like there was a preach with Keenan Clark, he was talking about like people are just being like greasy Christians, just like, and they're just drunk on the grace of God, just constantly just sitting here, just being like asking for forgiveness, keep sitting over and over and over, and just expecting we're just gonna continuously be thing. And it's like making sure no more wolves kill any lambs, like take them away in the middle of the night, because who knows what they're gonna do to them. It's like making sure none of those wolves take any more children of God away.
I like that story. I like that, man, because it relates to me too, because so many situations like that happened in my life. You know, like I remember one time I was a bit of a, because I've been a Christian for like my whole life. It's probably only been about the last 2 years, but I went through a stint where I was a bit of a, not a sorry Christian, but just more of like a, you could say like a sorry Christian. You know what I mean? Like, oh, sorry about it. You know, like on the back foot about it. But instead I'm like, no, wait, this has improved my life. It makes me do good in life. It continues to inspire me to do good. So why would I shy away and be scared to talk about it? And that's something that I've really stepped into, especially on my own podcast now. Like I do solo episodes talking about, I did an episode, I named it My Wrestle with God. It was talking about the whole subject of me finding that challenge and overcoming it, and then stepping into what I do now is being a lot more open and vocal about my journey with Christ. But yeah, it's interesting.
It's very similar. I mean, like, I'm trying to sort of find again, like I'm not nowhere near where I want to be in my journey. Obviously, I'm still making mistakes. I'm still like just trying to figure everything out. It's like implementing it into like what I'm doing with the podcast and stuff as well, as you know. And sort of like I feel a little bit uncomfortable doing it because I sort of feel like a bit of like an imposter sort of thing. It's sort of, but it's, I guess the whole point of this in life, it's just continually growing and being authentic. Like all, like authenticity is the highest frequency there is, and it's like at the podcast, it's like it's the journey of watching me. Like if I was gonna have it, like it's a journey of me becoming a better speaker, me having conversations with different guests and stuff like that. Like why can't it also then be like me documenting like my other thoughts and beliefs along the way?
Yeah, 100%, man. And it's inspiring too, because another thing that inspires me in the physical world, what I was thinking about before, And it's like it's so obvious it left my mind, but it's my son.
Yeah.
Like my son, like he inspires me so much. And he's like the reason why, not the reason why I get up every day, but he's a big factor on I get up on the days that I want to. That's
Like
for sure.
the days the bed feels a little bit comfier.
Yeah.
And so like you can roll over, see him, be like, "Oh, I'm not just doing this for myself anymore. I'm doing it for that little human."
100%. There's a bigger purpose now, for sure.
I mean, is there anything that we haven't spoken about today that you would like to talk about or you'd like to give a little bit more attention to?
Spoke about God, family, addiction, want talk. No, I don't think so. I think we've kind of touched on everything. Everything. No, not
That's
from the
all
top of my
good.
mind. I think you've done a good job. Yeah.
Perfect. I asked that question. I saw a psychology thing, and this lady was like, every podcast asks that question towards the end. It's like, because if there is something that the guest has not wanted to talk about, or like the most important thing to them,
Yeah.
they will bring it up, and it's making sure you get that most important bit out of them.
Yeah, 100%. But to be honest, you've done a good job today, man.
Perfect.
So,
I mean, our final question to sort of sum things up, in sort of the next 60 seconds or however long it takes you, what advice do you give to someone who's currently in rock bottom wanting to make it out?
do what's right and not what's easy. The easy thing is just stay in rock bottom, as weird as that sounds. Staying in rock bottom, the easy thing to do is just continue the life you're living, continue the habits, continue feeling sorry for yourself, continue not trying. The right thing to do is to try to put yourself out there, find a way to make things happen, find a way to improve your situation, find a way to meet people that can help you improve your situation. And you owe it to yourself 100% to get out of rock bottom. And I found with me, every single time that I was in rock bottom, I always did the easy thing and never the right thing. And that's a massive motto that I live by right now, is that anytime life gets challenging, anytime that you feel like you're in the depths, anytime that you feel like you're struggling, it's like, all right, what's the right thing to do and what's the easy thing to do? Let's choose the right thing to do.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Mate, I appreciate you letting me use your space again.
No worries at all, man. Thanks for coming on. Oh, thanks for coming back. So, perfect.
Well, guys, this here was another episode of The Great Human Reconnect. And until next time, stay safe.